Hey there, Adrian Elise here. Welcome to the Astrology update for January 9th through 16th, 2023. Well, we're in such an interesting quandary of energy as now Jupiter has moved to 2 degrees Aries, coming out of this retrograde shadow, forging ahead this energy of let me at it, let me go, come on, let's make some stuff happen. Mars is the ruler of Aries. And yet we've got Mercury and Mars both retrograde. And so it's just like bringing up the feelings of being so stuck and so lost, and everything that you've worked for and done over your life over these last couple of years. We've been going through these feelings, times of just feeling like everything that you've done in your life didn't get you anywhere, and what is the effing point? Right, like that anything you do isn't moving you forward in any way. And so we're feeling this with both Mercury and Mars are our main action planets. So both of them retrograde right now. It's just like stuck in the mud. We've got Mercury or yeah, Mercury having it's coming up into its second, or just starting to feel this today. Mercury's second out of 3 squares with Chiron during this retrograde cycle in Capricorn. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn turned at 24 degrees and will retrograde back to 8 degrees. It's interesting to note that the last Mercury retrograde in Libra started at 8 degrees, turned Mercury turned at 8 degrees. Jupiter's retrograde, Jupiter turned retrograde at 8 degrees Aries last spring. And Mars is retrograding back to 8 degrees of Gemini, actually, here at 8 degrees Gemini right now. So it's like really interesting energy. And it's like, yeah, double retrograde. And we're just so have our heads up our butt as far as what we're doing and where we're going. Massive shifting and changing is happening. And so this is so Mercury is in square with Chiron. And this is exact on the 11th, and that's the same day that Venus will be exactly square the nodes. So this is the energy of this week's astrology. It's like gridlock. Mercury and Mars still both retrograde. Venus, our feminine planet, in an intense square with the nodes, a T square with the nodes of the moon, and Mercury in square with Chiron for the second of 3. So it's like, really, let's just talk about these energies. The Mercury will have its final square with Chiron because of this retrograde, 3 squares with Chiron. The first, while it was still direct, and that was at the 18th of December, just before the solstice. Now the second one at 11 with Mercury retrograde. And then Mercury will turn direct and have its third and final square with Chiron on the 27th, 28th at the end of the month here. So this is flavoring all of January. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Mercury is our mind and our conceptual reality. Mercury is tricky. Mercury is speaking to the trap that we're all in. This very strange experience that we're gradually, one by one, waking up to the fact that we have been under a mind control program and lied to, and gradually, one by one, waking up to the fact that we have been under a mind control program and lied to on every level. And this is the energy of Chiron in Aries. So we are fighting for our right to our own energy. And Mercury in Capricorn says we do this by freeing our mind from mind control programming. I mean, the forces, it's interesting to talk about this, like the level of energy and agenda over years that has gone in. I mean, really, this is the whole deal. We have to get to this point where it's just like, what is going on here? Am I in a game? Because it's almost like they're laughing at us. Just waiting for us. Like just everything right now, the truth is coming forward in such interesting ways and it's in our face. And it's like, when are they going to figure it out? you know? And because Chiron and Aries is about the freedom and autonomy, the life force, our access to our own energy, our right to live our life our way, to live our birthright, to live as the commander of source energy that's available to us as being a microcosm of source. We have a direct connection, and it's our birthright, and it's everything they don't want us to know. Everything is about this. And so when we take back our thoughts, emotions, and I know it's not easy, but we can feel that supernova souls, I'm sure, like we're all feeling like starting to understand that we're in a technological quarantine grid. We got so caught up in the distraction of lockdown quarantine, not seeing that it's telling us exactly what's going on. And so we're having up as we take charge of our thoughts and emotions and the biology of our emotional feedback system and claim the peace that is our birthright. Claim that's by clearing up this outside agenda where we've allowing our energy, our attention, our thoughts to be in control of by outside sources. Once we By clearing that up, that allows the life force to flow through our being. This is our God-given right. As this, what we were shown through the Edgar Casey readings, the human soul, the highest form of authority, the human soul in the body, aware of itself as God consciousness. There is no claim, no rightful claim on your energy. And yet continue to like pay taxes on money that we've already paid taxes on that we earned to pay that to earn it. Just as an example of like how deep this rabbit hole goes. And metaphorically, what we're really dealing with is a massive agenda to keep humanity from awakening, an awakening to our higher truth, to our free energy, to what's available to us in the human experience. It's the end of their world. And just amazing resources and power over years has gone into keeping us from taking back our power and recognizing it's ours in the first place. And we're at the end game, we're in the midnight hour. And this is the Chiron and Aries energy. It's like the fight for life from that life or death state. We're fighting back for our republic. We're fighting back for our body, for our soul to be able to inhabit our very own body. Because the modern medical travesty is about disconnecting us from our ability to seek outside, to connect with the cosmos. Our God code, DNA, is trying to interrupt that so that we can only connect with physical. This is the deep, dark depression that supernova souls have been feeling because you're a spiritual being and you know it. And nobody around you can even acknowledge that this other world exists. And that's just the perfect situation to keep you gaslit and disempowered. And the veil, the illusion, the delusions are falling away because it's kind of like this. Okay, so yeah, so much is going in. And you can feel this. You can feel this direct pull on our psyche to pull us down into very dark places. But at some point, like what happens? They've gone through all of this to control energies to make sure we don't awaken. But what happens when these things stop working? What happens when we come enough into that energy and that life force in our own body that we see the power of that is so much more powerful than any contrived bullshit story, movie, game that we're playing out. And the game is to keep you from seeing that. And they're laughing at us because we're not seeing it and it's right in our face. And that's where it's kind of like, wait a minute, because we're taking this really seriously, aren't we? It's a heavy energy out there right now, and there's demonic forces trying to like just blah. And this is where you put your light on and you keep that light on and you say, "Get thee behind me," because that's why you're here. That's who you are. And so, what happens when all of the mechanisms of control stop working and don't have their effect? What else do they have? Because we're at the end game. So when we have enough light and love and life force by claiming, see, the trap that we're in is psychological and it's also temporal. And we know we've been having experiences, supernova souls, of a completely different relationship to time. And that really, like the Mayans talk about, we can access all time through our time. And so we can be in the energy of the solution as the problem is created. And we can see one thing that's really helpful, especially this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere and like the dark and the winter, is to pay very close attention to the cycle of the day and kind of see that bigger picture that the cycle of the day has the cycle of the year and the cycle of the 25,000 year cycle. It has all the cycles in one cycle. And so we can access that point of awakening, even though humanity might not be ready and they need to go through what they need to go through. We don't have to wait for anything to be in the energy of what we came here to create and to get on with it. This is the frustration building with Mars retrograde. Mars is at 8 degrees and it's just like, oh, held back at the gates because Jupiter's moving forward in Aries, his own sign. And Mars wants to win. Mars wants to be first. Mars wants to be out there in the game. Screw the sidelines crap, you know? And so it's like Mars is like, let me at it, and just hanging out at 8 degrees Gemini. And so coming back to this 8 degree thing, it's all about transformation. That's the number of transformation, and it's the number of Scorpio, and we've got the South Node in Scorpio very much highlighted with Venus coming into square. We're just starting to feel this today, and this is the whole week. The next, this whole the weekdays of this week are about this. Venus square the nodes and Mercury square Chiron. How powerful! Venus and Mercury came together last week in this beautiful conjunction. Venus went on to face Pluto, oppose Black Moon Lilith, and move into Aquarius, and now square the nodes. And Mercury going back to face Chiron again. And so it's kind of like they came together for a council, and the feminine finally found a friend enough to get her out of the darkest dark. One other person to talk to about what's real in her psyche. And so, but now she has had to move forward and forge ahead on her own in Aquarius. So Venus in Aquarius is like all of our deepest desires around the spiritual life that we're not living, but we know is our truth. But maybe we don't feel like we deserve it. You know, um, we haven't been able to receive the spiritual blessings that is our birthright because of this program, low self worth and the feminine. So we're just up against this, the feminine path forward, which is leading us. The goddess has got to stand up first, right? And so we're waiting for her to come out of the dungeon. And this has been everything the last few years of astrology has been about. And this is all playing out in 2023. I would have to say that the energy of 2023 is like a stage. So there's been all this stuff going on in the background for years that we have no idea. I mean, no idea. We are so clueless, even those of us who think we know a bunch of stuff. 2023 is when the characters of the movie start coming on stage. And this is exactly the energy of Black Moon Lilith today, moving over into the sign of Leo. Black Moon Lilith has been months in Cancer, going into the deep wound, the illusion of separation, and now moving into Leo. And Leo is about the light and expression and shining. And so it's like Black Moon Lilith, deepest, darkest depths. And Leo in childlike wonder, shining the light on all of it, saying it's got to come into the light. No more hiding in the shadows, guys. Doesn't work anymore because we live in a surveillance state, and it's been going on since the '70s. So don't let them tell you any different. They have everything on everybody all the time, enough to profile and clone us, you know? So, we are no more secrets, and everything is being exposed. And this is what 2023 is, that the characters, the truth start playing out on the stage where we can actually see it more, even though it's still in our base. So, this is a powerful week of a culmination of all these energies. Black Moon Lilith moving out of Cancer is a huge energy around leaving behind that wound, that delusion of separation. And that opposition with Pluto that happened for the whole month of December, really powerful realizations coming around this as Pluto gets ready to, is moving forward. Pluto's making it 28 degrees um, Capricorn as far as he made it last year uh, on the 12th, the same day that Mars turns direct, heading towards Aquarius. There's no stopping this. The light is always stronger. The force, the movement, the vital force, the divine flow is always stronger. And it's comes with miracles and power. Like, it's like, get out of the way. We've been so stuck and so stagnant, and we're just kind of almost attached to that as a way of being. And maybe that's what this double retrograde's about. It's like, get it out of your system. Go ahead, you know. And then we've got this message again and again for the last 3, 4 months, like prepare, prepare, prepare for what's coming in Mars retrograde, being like, the message is like, this is a reinitiation. This is a preparation. Prepare, prepare. And Mars is like, enough of the BS. I'm ready to roll. Oh gosh. And but then the double retrograde, but it's kind of this energy of recognizing that, maybe going back to all these forces that have worked against spiritual evolution. And it really comes down to this. It's like there's energies trying to support spiritual ascension, and there's energies trying to thwart spiritual ascension. And that's all there is in the whole universe. That's all there is. Everything is about that. And so we can get, we have to recognize that if everything's about this, then if everything was like hunky dory in our life all the time, would we have that urge and that gumption and that fight in us to overcome? Or would we stay in this lower consciousness and be content? We have to be really happy right now and honored that we're souls that are awakened and not going back to sleep or becoming robots. We have to claim this. That's that moment to moment living the dream and claiming your own reality in every breath and every step and every thought. And we have to recognize that these forces are providing us something to work against until we don't need it. And it's hard to see that from the black, dark corner of this, what's been painted for us, this psychological quarantine, energetic uh, quarantine, where you feel completely alone in your own universe. It's by design. And once you recognize it's by design, it's your first ticket out. So we're figuring this out, and this is the time we're in. And it all has to do with this Aries and Chiron, and Jupiter now in Chiron. I mean, in Aries, and Jupiter and Chiron will be meeting up. Um, I can't remember when. Is it July? No, it's no. Anyway, I get overwhelmed sometimes with dates and numbers, and you look back at the notes, and it's just like gobbledygook. I'm sure, like, how it feels to listen to these presentations sometimes, because there's just so much going on and so many powerful messages. But this Aries energy, Chiron and Aries, and Mercury square Chiron this week, Mercury's retrograde. It's like frustration going back over, and it's where your freedom has been stolen from you. And so this coming up against And Chiron is now moving. Chiron has made it to 12 degrees. And so coming out of its retrograde energy, and everything's inching forward. Pluto moving to 28, Neptune to 23 degrees. Uh, Pisces, these are our very slow moving planets just inching forward and kind of claiming a new day, claiming new territory, claiming that forward motion. And it's very, very powerful. And yet, here we are in gridlock for this week. So, Mercury square Chiron, our fight for our mind, the freedom of our mind that can allow the life force to flow and heal our life and let Mother Nature take care of it. Going back to that Black Moon Lilith opposition, as Mercury and Mars split, excuse me, Mercury and Venus had that conjunction. Venus went to go hang out with Pluto and Black Moon Lilith, and Mercury's back with Chiron. But that Pluto Black Moon Lilith um, energy of December, really bringing forward how we got into this mess. And it's talking about this interconnectedness. This so much of the work for supernova souls of what's come forward in the body of work that is comes has come through me is comes again back and back to finding and really deepening with our consciousness and intention, an intimate connection with Mother Earth as the living, breathing example, manifest form of the Great Mother, of Source. And so when you're connected, like our ancient cultures and our and indigenous cultures that never lost that connection, this we have what came up in the activation, the full moon in Cancer activation, was this resetting to a soul memory of when you've been on Earth when there wasn't a catastrophe paradigm. One of the things that we need to really be open to in our consciousness. Okay, so when we're interconnected and we feel the mother and we feel this connection to Earth, and we've only had tastes of this really, but you know if you've had this sense, it's like mother will tell you or show you and put you in the right place at the right time. You don't have to worry about a catastrophe sucking you up or killing you suddenly. That's not how she works. It's kind of like our fake punishing God that got us into the Piscean age, the dungeon of the Piscean age, that we had to Piscean age, that we had to earn and be punished and earn, this love back. And then mother's going to punish us for something too. And our consciousness is like, no, that's just not how it works at all. When you're in interconnectedness with her, with mother, with nature, with this etheric field, this Christed field, really, is then you feel safe and secure. The fear and trauma programming can't touch you. This is like, it's ridiculous, really, from that place. So we can tell that this disconnection from this interconnectedness of source and all and the way that indigenous cultures live in connection with her, um, that's what allowed us to become controlled through fear and trauma. And so then if we consider the fact that um, what's been shown to me, and this is just my own intuitive things coming through past life readings, is that every catastrophe that's killed humans, natural disaster, wasn't actually natural. I mean, if that was a directed energy weapon used in the time of Atlantis, so many thousands of years ago, who's to say that technology hasn't been around this whole time? And the whole catastrophes of Atlantis were designed to keep souls like us in sphere of our own power and coming back to this free energy. So it must be true if everything's gone into keeping us from our own power, telling us that we created those catastrophes. And what I saw was like very deliberate catastrophes in one little area, but because they didn't have like internet and around the world, they thought it was a whole world catastrophe. And supernova souls, this is what your deal is, your low self-worth. You got an imprint and a story and took it on that it was your fault and the whole world just fell into pieces because of your power and just fell into pieces because of your power and misuse of your power. It wasn't. It was your power absconded by the few, the same as today, the small percentage of souls that want to have control over humanity to continue to feed on us. Same frickin' story. And what if every single natural disaster that was so what's mother's showed me is that when you're in connection with her, it's all harmonized. It's moderated. This extreme weather bullshit is completely fabricated and created because we're not in connection with her. And so once we come back into connection with her, we can work with her like an interface. And that's the cosmic organic interface, the life force of this realm that's so much more stronger and more real than the matrix, the lower matrix control vibrational quarantine uh, compartmentalized psychic energies, you know? And I think supernova souls, you might be finding yourself going back and forth between these states. And it's really important because when you're there, it feels so hopeless in in the psychic quarantine and the oppression. And it's like you have to remind yourself that that is a state that's created in order to keep you down, and then be open to experiencing something different, your birthright, this energy flowing through you. Everything astrology right now, Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, square Chiron in Aries, and Jupiter trying to move forward in Aries. And it's like we take back our life force, our life, our real living, our free energy when we clear up the mind control and the conditioning and the programming that's gone on for so long to get us here. So how do you climb yourself out of this? The only way is through source, through spirit, through feeling that connection again. And so when we can get out of the temporal time loop and give ourselves time to connect with this energy um, and put everything else aside, it can go a long way right now. And so when we are in connection, we talked about, we are not so easily manipulated and controlled. And so, a lot of this weird psychological trap we're finding ourselves in is technology used against us. And we know that we have higher technology available in our own very own body. Now, there's an interesting energy, like they say that how did humanity get this technology? It was given by extraterrestrial or whatever beings. Um, and Also, there's a story about the Roswell crash and that technology being reverse engineered. This concept is very powerful for us. This is how humanity gained the technological knowledge is through reverse engineering the technology. So this technology is being used against us. It's technological control through our phones, like literally the electromagnetic vibrational poison deliberately targeting certain individuals and things like this. But we have the same energy. We have this technology available within us. And so we can actually use their technology to reverse engineer, to remember and own our own technology. Now, coming back to this whole in your face thing that's going on, there's an article, maybe you saw it, about, oh, 6G technologies are being created. And they're going to be powered by the energy in our own body because we're good at harvesting extra energy. Can you believe that? Can you believe that right there? It's just like, what a slap in the face. Isn't it time we stand up and and claim our free energy available in our very own body? And this is the time that we live in. It's so profound, and we'll just see what 2023 as the stage brings as these things play out. But right now, we're in double gridlock, double retrograde gridlock with Mars and Venus. Excuse me, Mercury and Venus both in intense squares. So, Mercury retrograde, freeing the mind, claiming our individual autonomy and freedom. And Venus, what's been keeping her from her destiny and her path with the square, the nodes? What's keeping her from receiving? How much there's an energy in supernova souls past life stories I've seen again and again where like desperate situation, it had to be a desperate situation before that soul could receive a blessing. Have to feel worthy of this new world that's coming, and this is what this is all about. Uranus in Taurus and the North Node in Taurus. Now, the North Node, the Venus square the nodes are coming to their end of their time in Taurus and will move into Aries and Libra on July 13th. So we've got a last section. They're at 10 degrees. And so they move backwards through the signs. So we've got the last decan of Taurus and Scorpio. And now it's like, did you get the message? And this Venus and Aquarius about the role of the feminine in the Aquarian age, about the life that she really wants, the spiritual life, and the life of balance and harmony that she deserves. And this is where we're coming up against. It's like, how are you going to bring in the golden age when you're so content to beg for crumbs? How's that ever going to work? We got to turn this ship around. And maybe that's the tables that need to be flipped so that we can radiate our free energy and own our light body and our higher technology. I've been getting messages about this, like, we've had that, like, we want technology disclosure of this free energy, but that something about since we are higher technological beings that have been trapped in the lower paradigm, we can't get this disclosure of this higher technology until we disclose it. We own it, we disclose it, we demonstrate it to humanity. And also that, I forgot. I lost my train. Hopefully it'll come. Um, so yes, okay, so then going along with this is this Uranus and Taurus and North Node in Taurus, and it's like a revolution of wealth, of our self-worth, so we can receive the golden age that's coming, just like we're talking about. And there's something about how supernova souls and humanity in general, just all this agenda to keep us in survival mode, just stealing from us again and again, our precious capital, our precious free energy. Um, we have become slaves of the financial tyranny system. And there's something to, but supernova souls are so wealthy in their energetic wealth because of the experiences you've had and many evolutions and lifetimes. This is why you went through hell and back. And so we got treated like dog shit, especially in the Piscean age, right? Like everybody turned against us and persecuted, and we've been living this out again. And it's just like, what? Are we ever going to get out of this nightmare? So there's something about supernova souls taking their energetic wealth and turning it into real, even though we know the real world money paradigm has got to go eventually. Free energy, what do you need money for? Like it's just a trap, but we're in a transitional phase. In this transitional phase, it's really important for supernova souls to translate their inner wealth into actual wealth. We are changing the financial system by translating our energetic wealth into physical wealth. This is what's coming to us from all the persecution that we've experienced while trying to help humanity and them not being able to receive us. We have to own this back and actualize. And this is a big energy of supernova. Supernova enterprises moving forward as there's been the story about the supernova soul, but now we're looking at what does it mean to go supernova? What does it mean to come into the full expression of what is capable for humanity and move forward and lead the way? And Mars is waiting at the gates. So we've got this intense square of Venus feeling thwarted and moving forward. And why can't she just have the life she wants? Why can't she just be the goddess she is? Why can't she just have some time to pray and meditate and connect with the animals and all that? And why doesn't she deserve her own abundance? And why does she keep hiding in the shadows? And then we've got Mercury trying to free the mind and going up against this battle for our life force with the control based energies, and yet retrograde at the same time. Mars is retrograde. He has no voice. In Gemini, it's been taken from him, and he's pissed off. But this energy is changing. So this week, gridlock. On the 12th, um, we are having just a few days away, Thursday the 12th, we're having Mars turn retrograde. And is that when Pluto moves over into um oh shoot. Yeah, Pluto moves to 28 degrees on the 12th. Yeah. So there's a huge it's just that's when we start ratcheting it up, right? But we're not going to feel that forward motion of Mars direct until Mercury turns direct 1 week later, Thursday the 19th. And then that leads us into the whole energy of oof, very powerful energies right there around the time when the sun moves into Aquarius. We've got um the Mercury direct on the 19th, and then a new moon in Aquarius. The sun moves over into Aquarius, a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degree 33 minutes, just like the last new moon in Capricorn, freeing ourselves from the control energies. Um, One that new moon in Aquarius on the 21st, 22nd, Chinese New Year, moving into the year of the water rabbit. More about that coming. And then on the 23rd, Uranus direct. So that's when we're really going to be moving forward. Jupiter really, getting into Aries. Jupiter comes out of that retrograde shadow on the 11th of February, and Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow on the 7th of February. And so we're just kind of like pumping up the volume, getting ready to go. And what is it going to look like when all of this suppressed expression that's been held back for so long, censored? You know, Mars retrograde in Gemini. And we've been feeling this for years, that reliving of mass persecution and control energies. And then what happens when all of that expression is unleashed when Mars turns direct? So it'll be an interesting time this next month and this spring, these next few months of 2023. Very powerful energy on the Ides of March, March 15th, when Mars comes out of retrograde shadow and all of our planets will be direct. And it's time to roll. And Jupiter really moving into Aries, we want to take this time to move our life forward in ways that we didn't even know how or what we were doing, but now it's finally time. And we still don't know probably how or what we're doing, but we know it is time to move and to be ready, to just take advantage of some forward motion, shaking it up energy. And for Supernova Souls, we've done some deep inner powerful work over these last months, and we're ready to shake that all off. All the old stories, all the programming, all the bullshit, all the lies, all the everywhere we've been playing along with that bullshit agenda. It's done and over. And we're ready to shake it all off. Be like, and there's this thing with this whole situation, kind of seeing this bigger picture of the control around ascension, and kind of that slap in the face of using, harvesting energy from humans, like telling us finally what's been happening all along, and kind of being like, wait, they're laughing at us. Is this a game? It's not so serious. It's just about me saying, F you, I'm taking it. How it's yours to begin with. And this is the big thing, Supernova Souls. This free energy, this higher intuitive technology available in our very own body, we've already experienced it. And not just in other evolutions. On Earth, in this evolution, we've already experienced this higher technology in our body numerous times before they reset us all and wiped our memories. The real story of the fall. And then we all took the blame. And I've been seeing this for Supernova Souls, like from the very beginning, when these stories started to come through in 2015, it was like when Supernova Souls take off this karmic burden that they've been carrying, blaming themselves for the Atlantean catastrophes and the fall of humanity, I didn't know at the time that's what it meant, but it was like this karmic burden that they're carrying for the controls energies, and once they drop that, it's game over. That's when we have the shift. And so that's what we're doing right here, right now. I'm so glad we're here together. Don't believe the doomsday trap of the psychological game right now. Come back into the light and know that you will be there just by setting that intention and move on to you put your energy towards something that's really meaningful. This is the medicine of our time, meaningful to you, meaningful to your connection to the earth, meaningful to your self-care, to honoring who you are as free energy. And that's opening up the space in your life to get you out of this psychological prison we've all been put in and allowed just gradually whittled away at our connection to source. Supernova souls, you have to honor and love the fact that you've suffered in the way you have in these last years because it means you're not going back to sleep. It's impossible. It's not working for you. That's why everything is saying we're running out of options. We can't stay in between anymore. We've got to say yes. And that's the supernova energy too. Supernova is about saying yes. Anyone who said yes to spiritual ascension. And we're on our way. Let's go. So hang in there, supernova souls. Really interesting gridlock energy turning into very dynamic, ratcheting up the volume. And we want to be on the front lines of this one. So I'll see you there. Um, and I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Keep in mind the Friday update is now available on the Supernova Soul Tribe membership. It's $10 a month. You could think of it like 4 Friday videos a month, a coffee drink. Um, two, 3 coffee drinks, and come and be a part of the Soul Tribe on the forum where we connect with other supernova souls in all over the world and begin getting to work on what we came here to do. So the information to sign up for that is in the information box below. And I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.